Welcome, welcome, your Backup Plan tribe. I'm Tina again here from Your Backup Plan, talking to Boo with Tina. I am a creator and developer of Your Backup Plan. I'm a best-selling author of In the Blink of an Eye. Just like that, your life can change in a quick second. That's how fast things happen. I'm a financial advisor and emergency preparedness coach. And we are on all podcast platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course, Pinterest. So I think that's pretty much almost all of them. Almost, I think. And if you already haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel right here down below. Thank you so much for doing that for us. We talk about real life stories on our channel with really amazing people on our guests. On our shows, just like our wonderful Craig Sotkovsky is here from Jersey. He is a 9/11 World Trade Center lung survivor, cancer survivor. He's an author and, of course, an international speaker. Craig is a mentor who shares a story, and he's got a lot of them, believe me, and inspires others to learn from his mistakes and find their path and live their dreams. And I'm so excited to have Craig on our show today, talking to us about the 9/11 World Trade Center bit, as well as his suffering from abuse as a child, and of course, his addiction to narcotics later on in life. I think he has a lot to tell us, and I can hardly wait to get him on here. I am going to do a quick commercial, and I'll bring him, Craig, right on.
Welcome to Talking Taboo with Tina, brought to you by Your Backup Plan. We feature notable celebrities, brilliant authors, and real people with extraordinary stories, accessible across all podcast platforms and our YouTube channel. Our innovative Your Backup Plan app is designed to put your entire life in one place, making it easy to prepare for any unpredictable circumstance. Whether you're a senior, retired, single, or have a family, this app is your organizational lifeline. It's your safety net, taking the painful aftermath out of any tragedy. Imagine having a plan B that ensures your finances are taken care of, even in the worst-case scenario. That's the peace of mind our app offers. Life's uncertainties may be unavoidable, but you can be prepared. We've also created a vibrant Facebook group where we offer free webinars diving deeper into the world of backup planning. Join us to learn how to secure your financial future, connect with like-minded individuals, and gain valuable insights. We focus on the importance of emergency preparedness for any situation: a natural disaster, a divorce, a loss of a loved one, a car accident, work accident, or tragic sickness and disability. We've got you covered. Don't wait until it's too late. Click the link below to join our Facebook group and embark on your backup planning journey with free webinars.
I'm back. Welcome back. My name is Tina. You can click the link below here for any subscription. Follow us and like our show and share it with others. We would be so very thankful. Let's bring on Craig. Craig is a 9/11 World Trade Center lung cancer survivor. He's coming to us from Jersey today. He's an author and an international speaker. I'm so excited to have you on our show, Craig. Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it, Tina. Thank you. That was a great commercial, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I would like to, start. Maybe let's start from the beginning. Where did this journey start for you, Craig?
So as you said, I was a 9/11 respondent to the World Trade Center. And after a bunch of years, I developed lung cancer. And what I was going to say is I'm one of tens of thousands that are sick and dying right now. And this is why I do this, because I want to put awareness to, there's still people dying from 9/11 with really rare and exotic cancers. And, I know of people that have had 2-3 different cancers at the same time. And I was treated for 3 different kind of cancers, but I only had cancer once. But I have the scars from all 3.
Yeah.
And I'm here to share with your audience, like you are, the backup plan. What is it? Like, what is your backup plan? Because I never thought in a million years that I would be speaking about what I'm going through, because I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
It's taken me a lot to really understand the mental aspect of it, of being diagnosed with cancer, the death sentence, right? And then surviving it, which is another crazy experience, because you have all kinds of mental problems that go along with it, like why me, like why do I survive, and all this other stuff. And you go through these woes me moments. I know I
Yeah.
did. And after a while, after years, it became my character. And I realized that you can change everything. You can do 180 degrees just by getting out of your stinking thinking. And this is the only real estate that we can own, is our thoughts, right? That's why it's called the temple. We have to sit in it. And there's been many revelations in my life, many aha moments and epiphanies. And where did this all start? It started from when my grandmother died in the same hospital the night before I was born. One comes in and one goes out.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I went through some stuff that little kids shouldn't have to go through. And after that, I became addicted to drugs, narcotics, when I was a young kid, and it went into my adulthood, into my 20s. It was always about, I wasn't good enough, self-sabotaging mode. And as time developed, I became a speaker in real estate finance. I used to speak at convention centers and stuff like that. We created the first online repository of owner finance and lease purchase properties in the world. And, fell on deaf ears. That was during 2005, 6, 7, 8, when all the nonsense was happening in the real estate industry. And, I've been around the block a lot. I've had startups and I've had a lot of failures. But what I was realizing as I was going through just my life was I didn't have the belief system in myself to actually overcome things. And it took cancer, like we were talking about before. That was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it made me aware of who I actually was, and not what society, told me I was. Because I didn't grow up with a formal education. I grew up in the streets, and I had a street education. And, I was going against people that had formal educations, and be like, oh, you'd never amount to anything. And I was bewildered by that statement, because I was doing better than they were at the
Right.
time they were talking to me. So I started building up more self-esteem during this whole cancer chaos, dealing with the demon. We like to say in our community, the demon's always there. You can go bankrupt, go broke. You have people walk out on you who you think are your friends, family, or whatever.
Oh, gee, really? Does that happen?
Happens often.
What?
Happens very often. And the reason why is
But
because
it only happened to me.
no, you're not fun anymore. I used to be a very fun guy. And now I'm just one of those people that is telling a story. And I'm telling the story, I'm sharing my story with the hopes that people really understand it. You don't have time. You have to execute on your ideas now. We think we create this procrastination because we want everything to be perfect. My daughter had a teacher that used to say Tuesday afternoon, because anything can happen on Tuesday afternoon. Well, what I realized is I'm Tuesday afternoon. There have been so many things or circumstances that I brought into my life, because I really do. I believe that I brought this stuff into my life just to see how resilient I could be, how tenacious I was. And eventually, I had a mentor get me into his program. His name was Les Brown. I became one of his Power Voice speakers. He heard my story and was like, listen, you just do this, this, and this, and your life will change forever. And I did. I listened to what he said, and it has. I get to speak all over the world. I get to speak about taboo subjects that people don't want to talk about. People invite me on their shows, like yourself. And, my message is simple in its complexity. Get out of your own way, because you're the only thing that's standing in your way. And I don't care if you're blind, crippled, or crazy. I don't care if you have cancer. I don't care. These are all stories that hold us back. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because I learned from experience. I held myself back for so long to where, I just finally gave in.
Yeah.
And I just, I was just like, mercy, I'm done. What do I have to do to get over this nonsense?
Can I go back to when you first discovered what started for you for the lung cancer part?
Yeah. I got sick when we were living in Mexico for like 7 years. After the 2008 debacle, 2009 January, we moved to Merida, Mexico. And I think it was 2012. I just became really sick, and I went to the hospital, and they told me I had a collapsed lung and pneumonia. And
What
after
did you think at that time? Like, what did you think when you
I
had
was
that?
dying. Really did. It felt like I was dying. But then I was like, I'm not dying. I had dengue a year before. It's a mosquito-borne
Yeah.
ailment. The Mayans call it the bone crusher for a reason.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. Every joint in your body just hurts. Like you
Just
can't
from a
move.
little tiny mosquito.
Yeah.
Imagine.
The reason why God created mosquitoes to population control. I don't mean to be laughing, but I laugh a lot at all of this stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Just the craziness of it all.
Did you get that in Mexico?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but then I started getting sick over the years. Like I'd say every 6 months to a year, I'd end up getting pleurisy and pneumonia. And it was in 2017. There was an eclipse, and we were going to Helen, Georgia, to see this eclipse over this beautiful mountain and stuff. And I'm an avid hiker, and I couldn't make it up the hill. And it just like my chest it was just so much pain. So I went back to the car. My wife and daughter went up to see the eclipse that came down, and I was profusely sweating in the car. I just knew something was really bad. Something was off tremendously.
Yeah.
And we had gone to the hospital, and that's when the doctor told me I had a malignant tumor in my chest. The bad part was he said that in front of my 11-year-old, so I almost throat punched the doctor. I was like, there's no way of saying that in front of children. It's going to make them understand something. Yeah, it's just one of those moments in my life where I was like, not everybody needs to be in their profession. What happened after that is I had a rigid bronchoscopy and a flexible bronchoscopy. The first one was on my birthday. And the second one, I actually nicked the tumor, and it started spewing all of this stuff into my blood. So that one almost killed me. So I was in a hospital for like a week, just getting sorted out with that.
Yikes.
They told me they were going to do emergency surgery on me, so they sent me an ambulance from one hospital to the other. And then when I got to the other hospital, they had no idea why I was even there, which was kind of. It's like, come on, man! People are on the phone talking to each other. And I get there, they're like, "What are you doing here?"
Oh no.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It really has. I like to call it a quest because I'm still looking to see what all of this is going to play out to be for me. You know, my wife and daughter have seen me numerous times go into an ER where it's like, hey, if you didn't make it here by the morning, you'd be dead. They've walked by me when they thought I was dead. So that's always broke my heart.
Yeah.
To go through that, and there's stuff they still go through. My throat closes because I have Barrett's esophagus and GERDs, and it happens quite often. And
What would that be caused by, Craig?
It's all 9/11 certified. Yeah.
From breathing in the toxic.
Yeah, it just rips through you. But the throat closing happens so often that I was at the dining room table, and I was going through one of those episodes, and I was like grabbing my throat, and my wife and daughter were talking, and they both looked at me, and they were like, "Are we going to the ER?" And I was like, "No, we don't have to." They just continued their conversation. It's kind of like, he's not dead yet, and he's not going to die right now. So
Well, the only problem is, what's going to happen when you go to the hospital. You wait for hours.
Oh, here's the thing, right? So where I live, and I'm in Georgia, not New Jersey. I was
okay.
in the time of 9/11. So there's certain hospitals that I've been to, certain ones where it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And then there's one where it's up north, in like the Alpharetta area, and there's nobody ever there. And I went there one time, and I was seen in like 3 minutes. So I continued to go there.
Yeah,
45 minutes from the house, but we continue to go. Like, no, I'll go to that one because I know I'm going to get in.
exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think? When did you realize that it had a link to 9/11?
When they told me, and one of the doctors, because they kept showing that I had COPD, and for years it was COPD. I get pneumonia and pleurisy. They're like, "Oh, you have COPD," because I'd be coughing and all this stuff. And I went to one doctor, and he was just like, COPD, 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 pleurisy, pneumonia, pleurisy, pneumonia. He's like, "Did anything like exotic happen to you? Like, was there any incident in your life?" It took me a while to get that one out.
Yeah.
That brought something really exotic. And I was like 9/11. As soon as I said that, everything changed. And then I got into the program and had to go through a whole plethora of things to get into that program. And I feel bad for the people that are getting into the program now because it's going to take a lot. There's a lot of things that you have. There's a lot of checks and balances that you have to go through. And yeah, it's just sad because there's so many people right now that are sick and dying. NBC did a story on the company that was doing the medical for 9/11 for the World Trade Center Health Program. And they actually got kicked out because they were so incompetent.
Oh no.
Yeah, they got kicked out. I think it was 2 years ago. And then the company that took over, they took over with a group that had no doctors in their network. So it was basically, I don't say a new group, an old group with no doctors in it. So everybody had to go through the whole process again.
Oh.
I know of a bunch of people that had passed away. That I'm just starting to hear more stories. While they were going through the revamp, people passed away because they couldn't be seen.
Wow, that's crazy. How many people do you think we're talking about, Craig?
Tens of thousands.
10,000, 50,000?
Maybe 50, 60,000.
Wow.
And every day exponentially gets bigger.
Do you think people are still finding out that they have cancer from that time frame?
Sure.
Yeah, even today?
We're all the same, but we're not, right? We've all been exposed to different environmental issues with 9/11. But then it's also the environmental issues that you've gone through in your life. So, I mean, and I'm just guessing here, right? So I'm guessing if you lived in the Midwest and you grew up on the farm, right, you didn't have the toxins from people that were growing up in the city. So if you were at 9/11, you might have been saved because of how you lived your life before. That's the only way I could figure this stuff out. Because I have a buddy of mine, he was there for I think a month or two. Knock on wood, nothing. But like I said, though, they said within the first 5 days you only had to be there for 4 hours, and I was there for 2 days.
I guess the dust was still in the air for a week, probably.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal.
And I think cement dust alone is harsh.
Yeah, because it's got all the silica in it. But then you add all the things that were
Furniture and everything.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah, we're finding out more people. It's just more and more exotic diseases that people are getting.
Oh my goodness. We don't need any more exotic diseases, Craig.
No. I've had enough life experiences.
That's for sure. What do you think you would say to those cancer survivors that are just finding out now from the World Trade Center?
You gotta stand up again. You gotta just keep taking life. As life is beating, it's like stand up again and keep taking the hits because you know it's coming. Murphy's Law is real. And this is what I try to tell people. Whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, do it now. And people are always thinking about the future, and the future is just a theory. Be now in the present. You know, it's a gift. Open it up. And people just don't. There's so many things that parents put on their kids get them depressed and anxious. You have to have a vested interest in everything that you're doing, or else
Yeah.
you will be depressed and anxious. I think we take the most prescription medicines in the world, and we're the sickest. That show everybody a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you still have to take a lot of drugs?
Um, depends on depends on what crops up in the blood reports, you know. But I'm shying away from a lot of that stuff. I really am getting into
Right.
more homeopathic medicines and just I have a picture of a pyramid, me standing behind a pyramid of pills that I've gone through.
That would be cool to see, actually.
That's going to be in my book, my next book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for your book coming up?
I don't want to say
Not
it.
yet?
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those sneak punches.
Yeah. What do you think you got into narcotics for? Was it a
That was when I was a teenager. I had blown out my knee playing baseball, and I realized that when I took my first painkiller, it was the physical pain that went away, but also the emotional pain that I was carrying for a bunch of years, going through stuff that kids shouldn't have to go through. And I was like, whoa, everything is okay now. And then one thing led to another. And then before you know it, I was just heavily addicted to painkillers, narcotics. And then as time went on, it was cocaine. And then it was like, oh, you're really going to live like this?
well, you can imagine what Matthew Perry had gone through then.
Oh, sure. Sure. The battles that we have, everything's here. The reason why I'm telling you about the homeopathic stuff is while I was battling a bunch of things, I had 8 procedures and surgeries in 2020. And that's when I became a Powerboy speaker with Les Brown. And I had so much, what is that called? Sorry, I get some blanks sometimes. Fentanyl and anesthesia. I had so much anesthesia that year that
Oh,
I didn't remember things. I was constantly in a fog. And then in 2021, after I had like 8 knee operations throughout my life, I actually got a knee ablation that gave me 3 blood clots, and that almost took me out. And I give the drugs to my wife. I just hold these. If I need them, I'll ask you for them because I don't want them sitting around. It's just something that I've developed for myself because I have to be on point all the time. And that's when I discovered epigenetics with Joe Dispenza and understanding how we could shut things off. I'll go back a little bit. I lived in Jamaica and I lived in the bush, no electricity, no water, and I lived with somebody that was savant. And he had shown me so many things, what the mind can do and how to shut things off and how to create things in your head that you could actually like put out to the universe, God or whatever, and have them take care of your problems. So I became just this guy.
more open to that, to learning more about that.
Yeah, I've always been. It's just that now I really wanted to be in it and to understand what epigenetics is and how to turn the heart and brain coherence on and understand what gut health is all about and how you can go through anything and survive it and thrive through it. And, this is my message. My message is simple and it's complexity. You got to stand up again. Life is going to pound you and pound you and pound you. The only thing that we can really do is control our emotions to it. And that's what my life is all about now, is helping people control their emotions to past circumstances and situations in their life experiences.
Right. Whether it's sickness or people or narcotics
it's very people-y out there.
Yes. And to have a laugh about it, because if you can't laugh about it, then
I laugh every day. I could walk into a doctor's office. I remember the second time they told me they were going to treat me for breast cancer. because it's huge in the 9/11 community with men now, is breast cancer.
And why is that, do you think?
Just from all the toxins. They took out 19 lipomas out of my body so far, and it was just like, I laugh now. I could walk in and be like, "You're going to be dead in 24 hours." Okay.
Yeah.
I've been told
What
that many times before, man. It doesn't even rattle my cage anymore.
It is truly amazing what they can do now. I mean, compared to.
It's amazing what we can do with ourselves, our
Yes.
own bodies, our own mind, and how to really control our chemistry set. I think pharmaceuticals are based off of 70% or 75% placebo effect, which is really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I apply to every day. I mean, I still eat crap. I do. I mean,
But life has enjoyments too, so.
absolutely. And I've enjoyed life a lot.
Yeah. And you have to.
I've definitely not slacked off enjoying my life.
So how much of your lung do you have?
I have the top lobe of my right lung. And then I just found out I have scars in my left lung.
A full lung on the left side, but all scarred?
Not all of it is scarred, but they did see scars from my last report in June to August, because I had pleurisy 3 times this year. And they could actually see the one scan to the other scan. And it was like, yeah, my left one is scarred. I was like, whatever. It is what it is. Keep moving.
Is it from the toxic stuff then that has scarred it, do you think? Or
no idea. I know the pleurisy, like, my body shuts down. I'll go for 2-3 weeks and I'll be fine, and then one day I just can't get out of bed. Don't want to. So I move and it's just so much pain. It's like, I'll wake up tomorrow. I woke up today. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Shot for tomorrow. Maybe I'll get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're in that much pain, you have to do that for yourself too.
What I realized too, I mean, in July, I had a really, really profound aha moment. It was the second time I went in for pleurisy, and they gave me morphine. Then that didn't work, and they gave me Dilaudid, which is 8 times more powerful than morphine. And then they gave me Benadryl. I think the Benadryl is more powerful than the Dilaudid and
no way.
I'd be really surprised. Liquid Benadryl. But what happened was I woke up and they were sticking oxygen up my nose. They were shaking me, telling Craig, wake up, take deep breaths. And I was just like, and what happened? It felt like somebody just told me to get up. And I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. I feel like I just got a wake up call. And that was in July. And a lot of stuff has been happening since then. I've been starting to meet amazing people in my life, like yourself.
Well, thank you. And you're amazing too.
Thank you. I believe so.
Yes. Well, you and I guess that's what we have in common for a lot of my guests and myself, is that we do this to help others.
Oh, absolutely. If somebody's listening and they're going through something, keep going through it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a divorce. I don't care if and it's going to sound really callous, okay? Because I say this a lot. If you've been sexually abused, emotionally abused, physically abused, if you've have the worst horror stories in the world, they're stories, okay? And what it's doing to you by not expressing your stories, it's you're holding it in. And that is the worst stress you could possibly have, is to have so much turmoil in your head where you can't actually do things. It's okay not to be okay, but don't stand there. Don't stay there. I did that for so long, wasted so much time and energy just being sick.
Just from it being parked in your head.
Just being parked in my head. What is it like? What is it like when you're the man of the house, right? And you can't produce any money because you can't get out of bed. Now I had to start learning this internet stuff.
Yeah.
I was doing that. I had 2 hand surgeries, and I was like still typing. My iPhone, and I have another phone, and do it. What I realized, you could start your whole life from an iPhone.
Yeah. Isn't that
create
crazy?
amazing things from an iPhone. Yeah,
When you think you needed a brick mortar building before and you had to have clients and customers coming in, and that's all.
this is what you need. I
Yeah,
mean, you can do anything with it.
exactly. What did you meet other people going through 9/11 situations like
Yeah,
yourself?
I had to actually walk away from the 9/11 community because it was just too much. It was just way too much for me. Um, and people are helping you, and you're helping people, and it's just it wears on you, day in
Yes.
and day out for years. I noticed one guy, John Field, he's been doing it for a really long time. I mean, decade, if not 2 decades. Um, and he's been with Jon Stewart, and they've been in Congress and all of this stuff, and they were like the pioneers of this to get us into programs and stuff. I asked him one time, I was like, "How do you do this, man? Like, it's not only depressing, it's debilitating mentally." He's like,
Mhm.
"I cry often." I was like, "That makes sense." But then it's like, "Oh, you're a man. You're not supposed to cry." I was like, "It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Crying is an emotion. You can't keep it in. You have to let it out, and that's how you become that unstoppable person. That's how you become by showing emotions. You become who you're supposed to be. Now you're a being instead of a human doing. And I think this is why we're doing this show. And I believe this is why we get to speak around the world. And this is why, you can have audiences everywhere because there's always an audience within an audience. You never know who's listening. You never
Yeah.
know who's going to give you the opportunity to share your story. And this is why I'm here. I finally realized why I'm here on earth. And that is to help people understand who they are. Because if the average person knew exactly what they were capable of doing, that tap into
Mhm.
that God within, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a religious, but whatever you want to call it, we have something inside of us that just wants to please us. It's a reticular activating system. And the mind doesn't know the difference between fantasy or reality. So it doesn't know whether something happened 20 years ago or if it just happened right in front of you now. So you can have all these recall events and you can have these aha moments that help you inspire people to become who they are instead of what society says they are. And I believe that's my mission.
Yes. What do you think when did you have that aha moment? When do you think it was?
Bunch of them. I
Yeah.
always tell people this is my 2,347th time to get it right. This is my last chance, right?
It's
Um,
like a cat with 9 lives.
yeah, nothing phases me anymore. It just doesn't. I don't have arguments with people anymore because I understand as I'm going to argue with them, they're going to be arguing through their perspective, and that's basically through their experience in life. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people in life that aren't experienced. So why am I going to even listen to somebody's dribble about what they're thinking? It makes no sense to me anymore. I don't
Right.
have short conversations with people. Just mundane stuff. It just doesn't work in my head anymore.
I kind of like to look at it in my own head like a bunch of squares, like cars parked in a parking lot.
Puzzle.
And yeah, and if I'm concentrating too much on crap in my head, it's like I got to remove that car out of that parking lot. It's got to go. Like, that's kind of how I visualize it in my head.
People mind map differently, but it's all mind mapping. It's understanding how to put everything together and get rid of things, and it takes work. I spend thousands upon thousands of hours by myself. I've listened to thousands of seminars and hundreds of books, and I like audiobooks though.
Yes, they are nice, aren't they? Because you can just listen and,
Go
you
hiking,
know,
walking,
driving.
always listening to something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And personal development is something that I believe everybody should do for themselves, is to understand who they are mentally.
So if there was someone listening, whether they're from 9/11, World Trade Center victim or not, or survivor, even if they went and found out they have cancer today, what would you like to put into their heads about hearing those words?
This is a very controversial subject. Okay. But I would tell them to seek out dimethyltryptamine, DMT. And DMT has helped me tremendously. And people don't like to talk about psychedelics a lot because it's like a taboo subject, but we're on a taboo talking show. So
We are.
dimethyltryptamine has gotten me back into who I am and what my purpose is. Because it's a deep-rooted psychedelic. It's one of the most powerful psychedelics on the planet. And what
Is it a liquid or powder or what is it?
it's a powder. It's from roots and leaves.
Oh,
A lot of people do ayahuasca ceremonies in Peru and stuff like that. I've done some in Mexico, and it's. I believe, like, when you go through all these tragedies and you go through all these bad stories, you develop this psyche of, you hold yourself back because you're not connected to who you're supposed to be. You've lost the connection to yourself. And psychedelics bring the connection back. Your neurotransmitters fire differently. And they're starting to do a lot more research on this. And, if somebody was diagnosed with cancer, so reach out, because it scares the hell out of you.
it does.
If somebody says you got cancer, you're automatically thinking, it's a death sentence.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go through chemo or radiation. They cut that stuff out, and that was it.
Oh, really?
It's just the physical part that I've been living with for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And people are always like, so what does it feel like? It's like, well, lean your ribs up against the sharp end of the table. Just lean into it and then move your arm. And then lean into it more. That's what it feels like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you have to develop this thing, this shut off mechanism. Where you're doing walking meditations, talking meditations, sleeping meditations, standing meditations to shut this stuff off. And I've learned a bunch of this stuff from the guy I was living with in Jamaica, my buddy Louis. We, as humans, we don't understand who we are. We're not comfortable in our own environment. We're the only species like that.
Yeah,
we're the
sure.
species that pays to be here, which is another profound thing that I've learned. I ask a lot of why questions, like why are we like this? Like, we always want bigger and better, but they'll always be bigger and better. And
Always.
and it's just,
When does it end?
You could be
Right.
rich, you could be poor, you could be pretty, you could be ugly, you can be blind, crippled, or crazy. Everybody ends up in the same place, dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
In some sort of box.
Nobody's getting out of here alive.
No. We don't know when either.
No, we don't. I've been told I'm going to die so many times, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Eventually, might as well go out kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Piss people off on the way out. Why not? That's always fun.
Yeah. When do you think, what would you say to people that think they have all the time in the world?
You don't. My daughter, I don't know if I mentioned this before. My daughter had a teacher who used to say Tuesday afternoon. Life is Tuesday afternoon. Because on Tuesday afternoon, your life can shatter. On Saturday, your life can shatter. You don't know. I've had so many things happen to me. And then I looked at it like they happened for me to learn and grow. And I think that's what we're here. We learn, we grow, and then we're gone. I just want to make an impact. I want to leave a footprint on this volcanic meatball before I go.
Yes. Just see if you can help others.
Oh, I know I can.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can. I'm cocky like that. I believe if you hang out with me long enough, I'll put it into your head that you can overcome anything and believe anything that you want about yourself.
I believe that. It's kind of delusional in a way.
We all batshit crazy for one way or another, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Celebrate your uniqueness. If somebody is telling you can't do something, it's just because they can't do it. So, and that's one of the things. The thing with dimethyltryptamine, it reveals you to you. I always thought I'd be famous for like some business stuff that I did. Nah, I'm 9/11 cancer guy, and it took me a while to actually embrace that. I'm here. I'm here on platforms to help people learn, grow, and then move on.
Yeah.
And if you believe that you can't learn and grow, you won't. And if you believe you can, you will. And that's the human spirit.
It's
That's God within.
our chemistry makeup.
Yeah.
Do you think is lung cancer the biggest cause from 9/11? Do you think, or is it other cancers?
I think there's like, I think they said there's 64 related cancers, and they're all just exotic, and they're cancers on steroids. My attorney liked to say, because I mean, you could be fine one day, and the next day you're like, ooh, stage 4. How did that happen? It's like, whoa.
Oh, really? Just
Oh,
like,
yeah, because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that, like, I have pains every day. Right, my blood sugar goes through the roof just because the glucose that's pumping from my ribs, the glucose that's pumping from my knee, from my back, from my hip, from it's just constantly being flooded with sugar, and it doesn't matter what I eat. It just doesn't matter.
yeah.
But what I shouldn't say that, because I realize once I'm just eating proteins, everything goes away. Joints start to feel better. There's a lot of toxic greens out there people don't realize. You have to know where your food is coming from.
Well, that's it. They're sprayed with all sorts of crap.
All kinds of stuff, man. All carcinogenics. It's just
Yeah.
all carcinogens that are just we're not supposed to have ingested into our bodies.
Yeah. And can you imagine how much from 9/11 went into your bodies just from the air?
Can't even do that math.
Like, I can't even imagine how your body's like, what the hell is this now?
Yeah.
Like, what did you just give me? Like the worst cancerous stuff all like flowing through you.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it filtered through the lungs and then goes wherever else it goes.
I know they were doing autopsies, and people actually had like granulated glass in the bottom of their lungs.
Oh my goodness.
Just wreaking havoc on their bodies for years. It's sad, but it is what it is. I mean, it's just stuff that we just have to deal with. It's the politics behind everything, though.
Yeah, true.
I mean, everything has some kind of political slant as well as a religious slant. And I believe 9/11 is a religion based off of politics.
And what did you feel like when you and your wife were watching those towers? Did you actually see it get hit, or you just saw them crumble?
No, I came out of one of my houses in Jersey City in the morning, and I had a perfect view of New York City down this one street. This is the main boulevard, and it's like, whoa, there's a lot of smoke coming out of that one. So I went to the other house that we had where my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, was. And I was like, get your film, get your camera. We got to go. And when we got down to the river, that's when
you didn't even know then, like what was happening.
No idea what it was. I just knew the World Trade Center was on fire. That's got to be an event all on its own. Forget about the aftermath, right? And she's got all of these pictures, just boom, 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 coming down. And I remember all the cops that were down there when the first one dropped, like on the loudspeakers and stuff, and they're like, "Get out of here!" Because we're like standing right on the river, and just watching this stuff right across the river. So people didn't know. Like, I remember my wife asked me, like, "What's going to happen?" And I was like, "Oh, the top of that thing will probably fall over, and then hit a bunch of buildings on the way down, cause a lot of chaos and destruction." Never in a million years thought it would just drop.
No.
No, that's a story for another time.
Yeah, that is, and it just literally just went down like somebody blew it up just like they wanted to.
I can't talk about stuff like that.
No, but like because it just.
Oh, believe me, I do. It's just
because I thought like it got hit at the top, it would just fall.
Yeah, you and a lot of other people.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of it was people were probably just standing there just shocked, amazed.
Looking at the World Trade Center. I remember at my hearing, they were like, well, what made you go there? I was like, the World Trade Center. I've been in construction my whole life. I'd rather be there running some kind of machine than a tax attorney or somebody from Wall Street. I've been on construction sites my whole life, from huge buildings to huge projects. I've run just about every machine possible. So I was there doing bucket brigade, which was wild all on its own. Didn't know what the buckets were for on the boat that I was getting on, the ship that I was getting on, until I got there. And you had to use one bucket at a time. It was bucket brigade lines. And you'd find a lot of interesting things that were horrifying. And, it's just one of those experiences in my life.
Amazing. Just blow your mind. Like you were watching them come down.
It was surreal too. It was like
up one minute and gone the next.
Yeah, it's like the World Trade Center, man. I used to go there every month. I go to Citibank and pay my credit card bill, and I have this ritual. I take the path and go to the World Trade Center. I grab some sushi, pay the bill, go down to this newsstand, get a couple newspapers. I'd sit on the floor and watch all the ants going up and down the escalators. That's what it was like. It was like ant colonies walking up and down. It was just like, it was fascinating to me. Because like I said, I was in construction. I wasn't a suit and tie kind of guy. Never have been. And it was just, wow, it's gone.
And what was in the World Trade Center mainly?
What do you mean?
What kind of people were in that building?
Suits and ties.
All suits and ties?
Suits and ties, man. Delivery men and service people and all. And then you're like, I mean, from what I understood, the World Trade Center was like a mini city.
Yeah.
And where we lived in Jersey City, we knew so many people that were actually working in the World Trade Center. And then you find out all these stories of so-and-so went to the mall and was late and they're okay. That kind of stuff. Or so-and-so ain't coming back because nobody knows where he is, and that's it, done. And you got to think, this is 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still wreaking havoc on people.
And a mystery.
Yeah. Always will be.
And a mystery of where did the people go? Because were they in there, or I don't know how they resolved that. I haven't seen any show about that.
Yeah,
People still.
There was a lot of tragedy.
Mm-hmm. A lot of incomes that were lost that day.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
It's one of
For
those
families.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to go to war, but I know what it's like cleaning up a bombing campaign, and that alone is enough for me. So we just need
what did shock you there? Did anything shock you when you went to help?
A lot of things shocked me. Just seeing the worst of human behavior. That was it. I mean, I was standing on top of the World Trade Center. That was enough for me.
And finding people? Were you finding people then?
I'd rather not get into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like those earthquakes in Turkey. I mean, how do you even start cleaning it up? Like,
one bucket at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's so much cement.
It's so much for your mind to process.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like your human calculator can't figure out that mathematical equation because you're just looking at pure chaos.
Yeah.
And some of the funniest jokes I've ever heard were there. I mean, you need humor. You need to laugh. Not laughing at what happened. You're laughing at what your mind is actually looking at.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Am I really processing this the way I should be processing this? And, you see guys laughing right next to the guys that are crying. And I was there with World War II guys, Korean War guys, Vietnam guys, hugging, crying, because it's an emotional event. You're standing on top of the World Trade Center, man.
Yeah. And it's just hard to comprehend in so many ways.
It's still hard to comprehend. Sometimes I think back and I'm like, really?
Did I dream that, or is it real?
Like, really? Yeah,
Do you ever think there'll be a movie about it?
There's a bunch of movies about it.
Like
Bunch of movies out there.
like Rambo in it?
Yeah, that would be John Field. John Field. That's one of the most impressive humans I've ever met. Is John Field from the Feel Good Foundation.
Mm,
If everyone wants to make any donations, go to John Field and the Feel Good Foundation. They're just doing amazing things.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
What kind of final, I mean, I don't want to go because I'm sure there's so many other things we could talk about for people, but you have mentioned a lot of tips for people to start getting out of their own mind, no matter what the story is.
So
And
you think,
how, I
yeah.
think we don't want to believe the story. I think that's probably what it is, you know.
I don't think the human mind can comprehend tragedy. We're always, from what I understand, we're built fight, flight, or freeze, right? So our minds have been set up from a child 0 to 8 years old. We use that recorder that we have in our brain. We're always listening. We're always listening to people telling us and showing us and doing it. So we're just on loop. And what happens is over time, you could look at a kid's childhood and see that same person as an adult, because all we are children in adult bodies, right?
Yeah.
And if we haven't processed the things that we've gone through in as a child, as we grow up and become adults, or what people perceive to be adults, I think it's a trap. Adulting is a trap in my eyes. You tend to lose focus on you. You have a disconnect with yourself, and it doesn't matter what the story is. And Les taught me this. It doesn't matter what the story is. The emotional attachment to the story that triggers people, right? Well, if something's triggering you, it means you haven't worked on yourself. You haven't done the dark work, because you need to take that Band-Aid off. Look at the wound, right? Clean it out here, and then watch it scar. And then once you could see the scar, you could tell a story without the emotional attachment to the past circumstance, experience. And it changes your physiology, your biology inside. That's why nothing shocks me. Somebody could say something to me and I'd be like, okay, I'm still going to eat my sandwich in the car when I go back there.
Yeah.
I've been living day by day, minute by minute for years. And some people are like, oh, it's not healthy. I think it's the healthiest thing in the world is to get out of your stinking thinking.
Absolutely. What do you say to guys who say, I don't need to get prepared for anything because nothing's going to happen to me?
Being foolish. I'm not saying dwell over it.
No.
But like you said, like your commercial, prepare yourself. I have bug out bags. I have food stored. I've been through hurricanes when, the Red Cross is in my driveway giving us soup because we don't have any food. And, you have martial law. You can't go anywhere between certain hours. I had my real estate portfolio wiped out and couldn't go there. Couldn't go to any of my houses because, you have.
And you wonder what they're like. I know the wildfires that we had in British Columbia last summer. There was people with those camcorders on their door, and they kept checking to see if their house was still standing.
What does that do? What does that do to the human mind? Because we're not being chased by saber-toothed tigers anymore, right? Yeah. But you can have a bad experience with a spouse triggering you all day long, or your job, or traffic, or it's just an never-ending loop of ors. Once you establish who you are, your life changes. You have to have a vested interest in everything that you do. You can't, like I see so many kids that are depressed, anxious, suicidal, because they're living their parents' failures. And that's one of the things that we do to kids is we put our failures on these kids for their hopes and dreams that were actually our failed events in our lives. That's the worst thing you could do to a child.
Yeah. Yeah, and dreams that you never did. put
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
or had the opportunity to.
The wealthiest place in the world is the cemetery.
Yeah.
That's where all the dreams went to die.
Yeah, that's
All
so
those
true.
people, all those people died with all of those books they never wrote, songs they never sung,
We should
movies.
make a t-shirt for that. I don't know who would want to buy it, but
There's a lot of things people buy.
it's true. Well, thank you so much, Craig. It was so great having you come on, and we could talk for hours. It was awesome.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it
You're
tremendously.
very welcome. Very welcome. We can't say this enough. We can't talk to people enough, either to be prepared or to get the crap out of their head. It's easier said than done, I know. But
It's simple. It's not easy.
no, but you have to want to,
Oh, 100%.
just like everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, you have
Like-
to believe that you can.
And addictions.
Sure.
Okay.
Addiction is just that. You're addicted. People are addicted to making money. People are addicted to causing chaos in people's lives.
Yeah.
There's so many addictions. And that's what I learned through addiction is people are addicted to everything.
That's interesting, isn't it?
It's what the mind does. It's a fascinating study.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for coming on our show today. I hope that you got, I always say, one thing from our show, then you're blessed, because that's my goal, and always having one or two things that people can take away from our show. We are not Superman, but we act like we are because nothing's going to happen. I know, but that's far from the truth. We can look at the last 5 years around us. Just the last 5 years, not even going back to 9/11, where there's shootings in the school and the streets and work accidents and car accidents and overdoses and the pandemic, not to mention the crazy wars and the natural disasters that every country in this world has at some point in the last 5 years dealt with. And if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed to our channel, please do down below and hit that button for your girl, because we like to bring more great guests on our show like Craig. Every moment is magic, so make every magic moment count. And if you are thinking of that special someone right now that you haven't reached out to in a while, and holidays are coming, don't let them be alone, but reach out to them and tell them how much you love and care about them, because you don't know if you'll ever get that opportunity to do that. So that being said, happy holidays to everybody moving forward. I hope everyone has a safe and happy family, happy friendships, whatever that looks like for you. And thank you, Craig, for coming on our show. I appreciate all your great wisdom that you've learned over the years. I'm sorry you've had to learn it.
I'm not.
But I'm glad that you did, so you can share it.
Yeah. That's why I believe in here. I think we're all light seeking the human experience. Enjoy the experience.
Yes. Enjoy the journey. And don't forget those people that you have around you to love as well. And Mike Tyson says everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. So,
That's one of the truest statements ever.
So true. It's like it's literally every single word of that sentence. So true. So that being said, I always end with Carol Burnett, because I know Craig knows who Carol Burnett is. Absolutely, right? Isn't she from around there?
Aging ourselves. No?
Yeah. But isn't Carol Burnett around from Jersey or somewhere? Or is she down south somewhere?
I have no idea.
I'm going to have to look that up. Or Carol Burnett, you let us know in the comments below. I'm so glad that we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started. And before you know it, comes a time we have to say so long. So long, everybody. Thank you, Craig, again for coming on our show. It was an awesome, awesome hour. I can't believe it's already an hour, but thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Craig. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for sharing, and subscribing to our show. And stay safe and be kind. Till next time. Bye.